Hey, welcome back everyone. So on this one, I'm just going to sketch out a character. And so the goal here was to sketch and do no erasing, right? Just literally start with thin, light lines and then build up over top of it. And whatever I get, I get. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by this experience. I've done it before, but I don't do it enough. I should really explore it more. The neat thing about it is that it's sort of a way to go into an art piece without being so overly critical. You're sort of encouraging yourself not to be critical because you're not erasing. I did adjust the hand here and there. I did go back with a little bit of white out, so I guess you could consider that a minute amount of erasing, but I really, for the most part, didn't do any. So a lot of times I'll get a drawing to about here, and even here I won't use nearly the amount of scratchy lines that I'm going for. I'm literally trying to like scribble the lines and let them zig and zag and be a bit more jagged. Because generally scratchy lines, jagged lines, think of mini lightning bolt type squiggles or whatever, those are more energy based, right? Now, the more we start to inject curves, the more organic, the more we inject straight lines, the more structural. Obviously, right? Those are all the basic techniques and lines, and then as we build up shapes, shape language applies. But this avoids all that, or most of that anyways, and it's just basically, hey, I just want energetic lines, and I want to build up a sense of value. As I start to crosshatch, you see there's a lot more straight lines, but even those, instead of trying to sculpt each line with crosshatching like I usually do, I just throw them in real fast. You can see by the speed in which they get thrown on the character here. I'm just scribbling them in really fast, and it's all about speed and energy. And I gotta say, it was a lot more of a creatively charged experience because of that. So I think that, and I can only speak to myself, but hopefully this helps for some of you out there. Like a lot of times when we get into refining the work, we do a couple things. One of which we slow down a little bit. Two, we get more self-critical, right? We think of other times our work has been critiqued, and we sort of replay those thoughts, right? Which it's all natural, and generally, for the most part, it's good to do that. Like it's good to accept things that you know aren't right about your work and try to improve upon them. But like all things in life, a bit of balance is a good idea. So if you go too far in that direction, you become overly critical. You start to drain the fun from the experience of creating art, and that can be a negative, right? So I feel like this really pushes back in that other direction of there's times you just need to throw things on the canvas and let a few of the things reside where they land. With drawing, it seems a bit different. Like you can almost picture a painter when a painter throws. I love those paintings where painters like throwing the big blotches of paint against a standing canvas, and bigger than themselves. And then as they start to refine it, the picture comes together. Because at first you think they're just having some fun throwing some paint, but yeah, it's a really neat, energetic way to even do a portrait or any number of things that they end up painting. But so sort of bringing that to a sketching way of thought, but it seems a bit harder, right? Because you're putting very distinct lines down. But again, if you scribble those lines, if you even throw more from your shoulder or your elbow versus constricting down to your wrist, you generally can get a little bit of that vibe going on. Like it's different for sure, but that was the goal here, is just to sketch and let something kind of take shape. Now, as I get into it, I'm obviously thinking of characters like Moon Knight and Spawn. I started to think of Mark Silvestri's style. He does that beautiful, scratchy, intense, billions of lines type illustrative work. And I'm not saying this looks anything in the realm of what that guy can do, obviously, but I'm just saying that all those ideas did play out in my mind as I was doing this. But again, I wasn't going into that with the expectations of it needs to look this way, it needs to be that way. And the more you can like let go of that, the more you can experience a bit of ebb and flow and just have some fun with it. It also helped that I just put on some jams and I took all the other screens, and I got like 3 screens now, and I'm usually looking at source material and reference and maybe a music video or whatever. I shut all that stuff off, and I've been doing that more and more, and I think that's really something that I should have been doing a long time ago. It allows me to stay in the moment and create without those distractions. And I think that's insanely important, especially in today's world where there's a lot of distractions, a lot of things that can pull you out of the moment and being present in the artwork. And that was another thing that I really wanted to do with this one. I just wanted to be present and enjoy that process, not think that I'm enjoying it, but knowing that my mind's over here in La La Land because there's something else flashing on the other screen. So I don't know, maybe I'm easily distracted, but it's something else that I'm trying to be more aware of and pay attention to and do a bit better with. But I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think as far as this type of work. Do you do similar things like this? I think that when we all go to our sketchbooks, that's generally the goal, right? Is to be less critical, just express a bunch of ideas. Sketchbooks are a beautiful thing for that reason. And maybe that's why I landed in Sketchbook Pro, because this software does give a little more of that emulated feel of a sketchbook versus where when I go into another software like say Clip Studio, there's a lot more buttons and rollouts and options, which are great for intense scene creation and book creation, obviously. But if you're not as focused, it's kind of another way to find yourself a bit distracted. I mean, there's times I get into that software and all of a sudden I'm studying some tool that I didn't intend on even paying attention to. Maybe I was trying to build a certain shape or whatever. But here it just ends up being about the sketch and staying in that process. And yeah, energetic lines are just more fun to create. And sometimes you do want to just shut off all the negative, critical thinking and just do your thing. And so there's a time and a place, because again, I don't think that we want to do all our illustrative work without critiquing it. There's things that have to be right. Hands can't look weird. These hands look weird. I'm like wishing I would have fixed them now. But again, I was trying not to get too off into that. But if I'm going for a cover piece or a page of art or client work, I'm going to obviously really want to fix the hands and really want to redraw the face a couple times to get it just right, and all sorts of things. But does that cascade into a downward spiral of just critical behaviors that don't yield fruit? Does it turn into something where you're just taking now a bunch of time to fix every little thing and you're actually making it worse? Because that happens too. There's times that we try to fix things so much that we go right past the mark into something that's now too stiff and lifeless and lacks the fun and excitement that these creative pieces of work kind of need to have, and that I think that our viewers tend to notice and appreciate. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. I'd love to know what you think. And as always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.